And if you're wondering whether or not there's a good bad side today, yes, indeed there is. And Brent Frohoff and Ricky Luyties are on the good side. They are downwind. The wind blowing into their face gives you better serving. And speaking of serving, Brent Frohoff has had a wonderful career. He won a tournament last year with Ricky Luyties in Santa Cruz. Big Jose Cuervo tournament. And playing well.
$50,000 apiece. Ricky Luyties and Brent Frohoff made in that Cuervo tournament. The first side out to Karai and Steffes. They have won 4 tournaments together in a row. Steffes has won 5 in a row. I'll tell you about more than that after this spike. Frohoff blocks. Kent Steffes went down to Brazil with Adam Johnson and won the Rio tournament. That is included. So Steffes has won 5 in a row. Karch 4 in a row. And Steffes on his way to perhaps challenging that 13 consecutive win streak.
Be interesting if he got it, because Karch missing the event down in Rio de Janeiro. Karch decided didn't want to go down there and made some commitments, particularly to his family, to stay right straight through his off season. It's a problem a lot of teams have had so far this season, and I think it's obviously still early in the year, as we've discussed, and most of the teams have not played a competitive event since a very special event in New York several weeks ago. A lot of mishandled balls, and when Karai and Steffes got off to a horrible 8-0 start against Smith and Stokos, there were a couple of mishandled balls, and they were spraying and just couldn't do anything. Smith Stokos played very well.
2-0 is our score with that point. Now make it 3-0. The wind is howling up top. It's not quite as windy on the court, but up top it is coming off the water, and the flags are about ready to flop off their sticks. But on the court, you said, Paul, and when we were down there doing our open, it was breezy but not hurricane conditions.
Not as big effect because of the enclosure here in the stadium, but the wind coming off the corner of the court where there is no stadium structure, and it's breezy down there, and already Karch Kiraly, Kent Steffes have scored 3 points from the bad side, and those are very valuable. They count for just about 2 in a match that will be dictated by the weather conditions.
So Karai and Steffes off to a good start on what we think is the bad side. Frohoff, dink, score. Brent Frohoff with 14 open wins in his career. Came into this year with $592,391 earned in his career. Luyties will do most of the blocking. It's 3-0 Steffes Karai. Ricky got it. Looking for a point. No, Ricky touched the net. So Luyties into the net, side out, back to Karai and Steffes.
Ricky Luyties should be one of the best blockers on the tour. And when he's on his game, he is. But part of the reason why he and Adam Johnson split up last year after having so much success the year before is Ricky was pressing as a blocker. And I don't mean in terms of pressing over the net. That's a good technique. But just trying too hard and not getting his hands on a lot of balls.
You think that was the reason they split up, huh?
I think it was part of it. I talked to Adam Johnson, and he said, you know, you talk to Ricky and you get a different story. But I talked to Adam Johnson, and he said, look, Ricky just wasn't touching any balls, and I was getting really frustrated on defense. I didn't know where to go. We just weren't clicking. And he did say, I probably wasn't playing as good a defense as I should have been. But their partnership went via con Dios early in last season.
0 serving 3. As Frohoff looks for the toss. He's got a great jump serve. And they need a couple of points on the good side. Down the line, out of bounds. Sometimes when you're on the good side, however, the toss is very tough. You throw it up and it went right to his right.
Well, particularly with the wind blowing in your face, you got to bring your toss down a little bit because it'll blow back over your head. And Brent Frohoff tosses the ball pretty high, as does Karch.
Frohoff coming in and tapping it down the line. So Brent Frohoff and Ricky Luyties trailing 3-0 here, semifinal. Smith and Stokos beat Karch and Kent in the winners bracket. And Luyties will serve. Steffes booms one. Kent Steffes, the king of the beach last year. He won the most tournaments. And so he is the mythical king of the beach.
Brent Frohoff, Ricky Luyties have been in the contenders bracket for a long time. They lost in the round before the quarters to Leif Hansen and Eric Boyles, 14-13 as time expired. And they have played a number of extra matches during the course of this weekend. And maybe that's good for a team early in the season. You get in the repetitions, and I think both Brent Frohoff and Ricky Luyties in very good shape. And it has not been that hot for this time of year in Florida.
Frohoff down the pipe. It's 3-0 Karai Steffes. And it remains 3-0. Karai and Steffes won 16 tournaments together last year. Steffes won 18. He won a couple with Adam Johnson. Boy, Adam Johnson's got to be really thinking about it right now. A 17th this week with Steve Timmons, as Luyties is dug by Karch. And a little tip shot. Karch is into the net, and the ball will go to Luyties and Frohoff.
That's the wind right there. Kent Steffes bump setting the ball up in the altitude. The ball gets up there, blows around, just blew over the net, and Luyties and Frohoff took advantage.
3-0 is our score. Karch on 2. Frohoff has it, looking for a point. Left hand right to Karch. Karch likes that. Gets it off Ricky out of bounds, and the side out to Karai and Steffes.
The block of Ricky Luyties and out of bounds.
Karai and Steffes they've scrambled their share during the course of this weekend, and the wind conditions a lot less earlier in the day. Luyties was there, but just could not get a hold of Karai.
Frohoff blocked. It's out of bounds.
By Brent Frohoff off the block.
So Frohoff and Luyties have the ball back. We were talking about Adam Johnson and Steve Timmons losing in the first round. They lost at 14-12 to Todd Schaefer. That was in the first round. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back. 3 here in sunny Florida. Chris Marlowe and Paul Sunderland taking it in. It's the Miller Lite Fort Myers Open. Karch Karai and Kent Steffes have one loss. They're in our semifinal against Ricky Luyties and Brent Frohoff. Steffes set to put the ball in play. He's 24 years old. He just had an ace a moment ago, and that served just out of bounds. Dancing Marvin Hall on one of the lines. Our first referee, Greg Prouse, today. Our second official is Brant Lee. And they're chatting it over with Greg. They're saying that Brant Lee might have said it was good. What'd you think, Paul?
Look very close from here. Brant Lee is signaling the ball in. Marvin Hall, his only job is watching the line. So I think without exception, you've got to honor the linesman's call unless you're absolutely sure, and then you can overrule. I don't think Brant Lee was sure or confident in his call, and they let it go on.
Going to serve Karch on the far side. What a block by Ricky Luyties. Ricky Luyties with his second stuff block. That makes the score 4-2, Karai and Steffes.
Easy way to get points from the bad side. Either jump serving if you can, or stuffing balls straight down. The fewer times you have to make contact with the ball on the bad side, the easier it is on you.
Fro working on Karch. It's windy over on that side. That's why they're serving that guy. Frohoff the alligator dig. And Steffes pounds it straight down.
You mentioned the conditions here of this sand. The AVP Tour does a great job of keeping the court very soft, raking it, digging it up. But as play goes on, this will get very, very hard packed and get easier and easier to jump on. And watch for the big blockers and big jumpers to take over.
4-2 is our score. Frohoff got it. And Fro really chopping inside. He stares at Karch. Still, there's not animosity there, but there's some intensity because Frohoff was Karch's partner years ago. Gives him a little stare down there.
Well, I think Brent Frohoff is still trying to prove that he can be among the most competitive top players on the beach, with or without Karch. And I think that's a heck of a challenge for him. And he's given Karch a little bit of the stink eye here, and talked about giving up points on the good side. Frohoff and Luyties did it early, but now Karai and Steffes, their ball control, letting them down a little bit.
Karch got it. Going to be interesting today. Karch, Karai, and Kent Steffes. You've watched for 5 minutes with us, wherever you are on Prime Network. They are not at their best. They are flatter than pancakes today. They won the first couple of tournaments very easily this year. The Evian Indoor in New York and Hawaii. Steffes won Brazil, and they're going to have to crank it up, Paul, or they're not going to win this tournament.
Well, and the best part of their game is letting them down, and right on cue, Karch Karai makes a nice play. You saw the ball handling problems that the conditions created for Frohoff and Luyties, but they are not scoring points very easily. They are not blocking balls particularly well, and when they have easy chances, their ball control has been letting them down.
Frohoff out of bounds. So Frohoff trying to guide over Karch. Karai and Steffes score a couple of quick ones now. 6-3, Karai and Steffes. If you look closely on Kent Steffes' face, you'll see a little band-aid. Interesting story about Kent Steffes. Had 10 stitches in his right cheek.
It's a war wound, so to speak.
And a timeout is taken. Let me tell you how he got that. He was playing paintball. You know what paintball is, Paul?
No,
paintball is where you get out these guns and they shoot paint. You go out to Simi Valley, California, and you play war games.
You
with
pink,
paint.
you're dead.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So Steffes snuck up behind a guy, and he was chasing him through a ravine, and he stumbled and fell down into a ravine and hit his face on a rock. 10 stitches, the blood's gushing out of his face. He said the guy turned around and popped him, executed him right there. I said, what did you get for doing all that? He said, I got the Purple Heart. Had to call a plastic surgeon, though, to sew up that pretty face.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's going to be the poster boy for a long, long time to come. And smart, though, keeping it covered up from the sun. You don't want to get a scar like that into the sun. You can have it turn a little sour on you.
Frohoff going to serve, his team trailing 6-3. If Frohoff and Luyties can get over to the good side 6-4, they'll be in business. Working on Karch. And he puts it away. So Karch Karai. Karch means Charles, Karai means king in Hungarian. The literal translation is Chuck King.
Chung King?
Chuck King.
Okay.
2-time gold medalist. Some say he could have been a 3-time gold medalist. I think I'm one of those if he had chosen to compete. Decided not to. Karch, very, very strong family ties. Very dedicated to his wife and his 2 kids. And he snaps one through hard. So KK gets a kill, and now Kent Steffes will put the ball in play.
Both teams going through short periods of settling in a little bit, receiving serve well, setting the ball well, and siding out. But I'll tell you, one team's got to steady out and get its point-scoring game in gear, and so far neither one of them have shown that kind of consistency.
Frohoff doing a good job. Frohoff, one of the most versatile players on tour. He can play right and left sides very, very well. As the serve receive of Karch Karai and Kent Steffes. 6-3, Karai and Steffes lead here. Semifinal action. And into the net.
Frohoff having a lot of trouble the last 2 times with his toss.
Karai sets to serve. Karai made $1 million playing in Italy last year. Chose not to go back. His wife told me an interesting story. When she was first over there, she was very homesick. She really missed her parents and missed all her friends at home. And while Karch was off playing, she would call back home. Her phone bill for the first 2 months, $6,000. 2 months.
Well, it was deductible, and they could afford it to begin with.
Good play there, Steffes! Double contact, that's okay on the block. Now Steffes looking for a 7-3 change, blocked. Steffes looking for a 7-3 change, got it. Beautiful cut shot by the king of the beach, Kent Steffes. So Karai and Steffes get a point. We'll take time outside change. Open semifinal action, 7-3. Karch and Kent have the lead on the strength of some good defensive plays, Paul. Karch and Kent play very well as a team.
Well, you give them 3 tries to score and just chalk it up. Ricky Luyties and Brent Frohoff scrambling as best they can. Frohoff, Luyties playing defense, blocking some balls, but now comes the easy chance. You read the defense, you communicate with your partner. Frohoff runs left, you cut opposite direction, side change and point. That was an important point. 7-3 side change, a much more comfortable situation.
Karai and Steffes up by 4. The prize money breakdown this year, all tournaments are at least $75,000, and that is certainly the case here in Fort Myers. The winning share of the purse, $15 grand to be split between the team that wins it, and that most likely will be St. John Smith, Randy Stokos, Karch Karai, Kent Steffes, or Ricky Luyties and Brent Frohoff, since they're the only 3 teams left in this tournament as I speak. 15 split, 9 split, 71-25. 56-25 and 4,500 as Karch sets to put the ball in play. Now Frohoff and Luyties got to get going on their side. This is the good side. They should be able to really hoe here. Ricky got it.
A lot of teams like to serve Ricky Luyties, but early on in this match, it's been Brent Frohoff that's been getting served repeatedly. Frohoff has received 13 serves. Ricky Luyties now only 4.
Brent Frohoff won his first victory in 1986 at Santa Cruz with Scott Akatubby. Point of information, Scott Akatubby not back on the tour as of yet. Still having some physical problems, and no one seems to know when he's going to come back. I hear reports once in a while that he's working out, he's feeling good, but he's not quite in shape to get on the tour yet. So Steffes with a 7-3 lead going to Frohoff. Karch, he's got it. Big play here. Frohoff's got to put it away. And he does. Nobody going to get that one.
Nice scramble play. You mentioned Brent Frohoff's first victory with Scott Akatuther. And the key to that was their jump serving. They were the young kids from Hermosa Beach, and they played down by the pier, and they just came out and bombed and bombed and bombed jump serves. And every once in, everybody then just got on the bandwagon and really changed the game outdoors.
I really agree with you. I think they were the two that got everybody going on the thing, don't you think?
Well, absolutely, because they were very young in their game, and they were inconsistent possibly in some other areas, but they could both pass and set, and they could jump serve like crazy, and they ended up winning that tournament. And then they won a couple of others together, primarily because of their jump serving ability, and everybody else says, hey, we better get with it.
Frohoff. And Frohoff chopping inside. Working on Steffes. 7-3 is our score. Ryan Steffes are ahead.
Frohoff has an unusual hitting style from the left side. He really hits the side of the ball and cuffs it. A lot of players like Pat Powers or Randy Stokos, for that matter, they will face cross court, hit cross court. You really have to move the block a lot farther in than his body would indicate.
Steffes got it right by Ricky Luyties. So Kent will have the ball.
Angle goes down the line for the tap down.
Ball control, always the key, whether it's windy or not. And Karch, you can tell when he's having a little trouble having to go to his knees when he sets the ball, needing a little bit more time with the ball in his hands.
Nice shot. Brent Frohoff getting a lot of serves and doing very, very well with it. Frohoff went to Loyola Marymount University, in case you're wondering, but was never an accomplished indoor player. You see, he won in New Orleans and he won at Santa Cruz. That one at Santa Cruz was a stunner. He won 50 grand. His partner Ricky won 50 grand. Ooh. 7-3 is our score. That's trouble. It's tight. Karch, poke, got it.
Boy, in trouble exactly against Ricky Luyties, who can probably reach a couple of feet over the net to block. You have got to keep the ball 2 feet, 1.5 feet off the net. Then you're in good shape. You've done your job as the setter, but less than that, and all of a sudden the blocker has the advantage. But Kurai still able to jump well into the 30s, maybe the low 40s indoors anyway, can go up and poke over the top.
Karch is in great shape. Didn't have to worry about the aches and pains of playing in Europe this year. And he is diligent as a trainer. I'm going to talk a little more about that. I've got an interesting little bit for you as they serve Karch. See if he gets the ball back.
Boy, that should have been a mishandled ball, I thought.
Not quite yet. Steffes got it over the top. And Luyties challenging Greg Krause right now and saying that's a throw. Krause called one on Ricky.
First ball that Kent Steffes set came out with a lot of spin, indicating left to right transfer, double contact. I thought it should have been called.
7-3 is our score. Kent will serve. Kurai and Steffes have the lead. 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this game. Winner plays Smith and Stokos. And Ricky, a little mad, whales one out of bounds. Point to Karch and Kent. Might not be a bad idea to take a timeout here.
At least possibly use one of their 20s. This game is starting to drift away inch by inch. They need to get right back into this thing. They're on the good side. They need to get back to the 8-7 side change before they go to the bad side.
Got to get the next 4 here. Frohoff pumps inside.
Well, I'll tell you, Greg Krause is being consistent because there have been 2 more sets after what I thought was a shank by Ken Steffes.
Those are the ones you say that are crummy, right?
That was crummy.
Crummy.
But Krause is being consistent. You know, it's windy conditions. It's harder to set the ball. And
so why do you call that first one on Ricky?
Well, he's been consistent since then.
Frohoff, pretty good serve. Karch gobbles it up. You know, we were talking about people that initiate things. Well, Karch Kurai, really the first player on the beach that initiated doing drills. He started doing drills instead of playing games all day long. He goes down to Capo Beach and he runs and he jumps and he does all that other. After Karch started doing, he wins all the tournaments. Everybody else is doing drills. No one plays any games anymore. Frohoff sneaks it through.
Obviously, it's the way to go.
The wave of the future. We're coming back. Semi-final action. Kurai and Steffes ahead by 5, 8-3. Oh, Chris Marlowe with Paul Sunderland. And yeah, we are having some fun down here. It's a tough event to cover, but we do our best.
You know, it's hard work, but you got to keep your concentration.
Yes.
Very knowledgeable fans down here.
Right.
Most of them locals, but I ran into a gentleman yesterday who drove down from Montreal, another from elsewhere in Canada, and several folks from around the East Coast and the Midwest.
And of course, this area is blanketed by the Sunshine Network, one of the fine cable outlets on the Prime Network. And you're right. They know their volleyball. Got a lot of questions. What the heck are you doing here? Stuff like that. What about Smith and Stone?
How come you never read my letter? And I said, well, you know, keep sending them, and maybe you need a little better letter.
All right. Stay with us at Have. We'll have the mailbag for you, as well as a number of other fine features. Brent Frohoff, this is game point, and Frohoff sneaks one inside. Been all Karch and Kent in this one. They jumped out 3-0. Led 9-3. Frohoff and Luyties came back just a bit, scored a couple of points, then Karch and Kent got mad, and now we're at 14-6. Luyties and Frohoff trying to score a couple more points, maybe get a break. And that ball down. Frohoff thought it was a double contact call. He stopped and didn't move, and the ball went right down.
Obviously, he wouldn't do that if the score was 14-13, but figuring his team is pretty well out of it with the big deficit and the clock winding down. As soon as the ball is set, Frohoff just stops right there. No movement for the ball. And there have been a lot of sets put up here with a lot of spin, but I think Kraus doing okay.
Karch can't get this one. It's over. Nope. Ricky Luyties pounds it through. And so Brent Frohoff will put the ball in play. What does Brent Frohoff eat for breakfast before he goes out and plays volleyball? A couple of poached eggs, potatoes, wheat toast, no butter, fruit, and lots of water. Sounds pretty good to me.
Except for the eggs, sounds fine.
Froey, and trying to chop cross court. Couldn't do it. Minute 13 to go, 14-6. Karai and Steffes, so Karch will have the ball. And serving up, game point. Frohoff, that's it. So Steffes stuffs Frohoff. Karch and Kent get out of semifinal action. Another look, Kent Steffes getting in good position. Karch and Kent moving on. And we'll be moving on. We're coming back. That sets up a great final. Smith-Stokes